Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. I've used Blue Apron before. I'm not much of a cook, but guess what? Blue Apron made me a gourmet chef. You order it, it comes pre-measured out with simple instructions. It doesn't take that long, and you're not just cooking regular stuff. You cook great dishes like these featured upcoming meals: seared chicken and creamy pasta salad with summer squash and sweet peppers, creamy shrimp rolls with quick pickles and sweet potato wedges, and chili butter steaks with Parmesan potatoes and spinach. If I didn't have Blue Apron, I would cook a boring meal. But with Blue Apron, you cook these delicacies. And here's another part. It's affordable. It's less than $10 per person per meal. So here's the thing. Check out this week's menu, and you get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/Jalen and get cooking. You will love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron. So don't wait. That's blueapron.com/Jalen. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
Support comes from Blue Apron. Blue Apron delivers farm-fresh, perfectly portioned ingredients and step-by-step recipes so you can make incredible meals at home. Rediscover how fun cooking can be while reducing food waste and supporting sustainable farms and fisheries. Visit blueapron.com/Jalen to get your first 3 meals free.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head to death. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood. Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom, boom, boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
What up, Dap?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in, center stage on the mic.
And we putting it on wax.
We are Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio. What do?
We get to find individuals that have consistently supported this program for 6 years, whether radio, podcast, or television, 2 a.m. or p.m., exactly what they want when they want it. More importantly, when they need it.
We took a week off. We went on vacation. We spent time with our loved ones. And then the NBA exploded. Kyrie Irving was traded to the Celtics for Isaiah Thomas and a pick and a prospect and Jay Crowder. And then what happened, Jalen?
Then all of a sudden we realized that Isaiah Thomas got injured during the playoffs, which caused him to miss the remaining games. He had a hip injury. They chose not to get surgery on it. And when you do a trade, take it from somebody that's been traded multiple times, you actually have to pass something called a physical. And while so many people were getting excited about the trade, I purposely stood back, silent. Because I was like, I don't think he's going to be able to pass a physical if he hasn't competed in any basketball activities. So therefore, all of a sudden, there may be a chance that both of these guys actually have to end up back with their original squads.
How could that possibly happen, though? Like how does that work? And let's just start off by looking at this from the Cavaliers side, okay? Just strictly from the Cavaliers side. I think that this trade is going to happen. I think you can't put this toothpaste back in the tube. What do you think?
I don't think you could put the toothpaste back in the tube. However, you can make the deal uncomfortable for the other side. The one thing about this deal, when you saw it on paper, for a lot of reasons we're going to get into, I felt like it was really good for both sides.
It felt like a true win-win trade in the NBA.
Now when I hear, wait a minute, they're going to need more assets, I perk up a little bit. So y'all trying to get Tatum?
I know. I love when they ask for Tatum.
Y'all trying to get Jalen Brown?
We'll take Tatum or Jalen Brown. There's two of your highest picks that you've had in years.
And so based on that, it may get a little sticky, but I do agree with you. It does find a way to eventually get done.
So let's look at it strictly from the Cavaliers side. How does this affect the Cavs when it goes through?
Who's the best player in basketball?
LeBron James, unquestionable.
Whose team do you always pick to win a championship?
The Cleveland Cavaliers.
Okay. It's a better chance, get ready for this, for the Cleveland Cavaliers to actually keep LeBron. There's a lot of talk, and I was one of the people that started it, about LeBron James leaving Cleveland.
Yeah, everyone's already got him on the Lakers.
It could very well happen. But in order for it to take place, he's going to have to form another super team in purple and gold. So, yes, if he ends up with Paul George and Boogie Cousins, then he may consider. But when you get a chance, look at the Lakers roster. That ain't no super team.
It's not a super team.
LeBron James has found a way to create a rite of passage to win the Eastern Conference. And they actually are a better basketball team with the additions of the guys they got in the trade. Isaiah Thomas is going to be fueled in the final year of his contract. Jay Crowder's another wing defender. Is going to help out against KD and Kawhi. LeBron is going to play a lot more minutes at the 4, which moves Love a lot more minutes to the 5. They're going to be able to switch a lot of pick and rolls. They're going to be able to do a lot of things defensively. And he's comfortable. When you're an all-time great player, you don't want to play for multiple teams.
No. He's got his guys, Tristan and JR there. And he brings in Isaiah Thomas. What else could this mean for the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Hit the brakes.
Oh, no.
LeBron James, I'm watching you, and I know you watch this program. How many years does Isaiah Thomas have left on his contract?
This is his final year of his contract, sir.
Hit the brakes again.
Again?
How many years does CP3 have left on his contract?
Wait a second, Jalen. What are you saying?
Just think about this. We talk a lot about the Banana Boys making a union in an NBA city near you. What better place to do it than in Cleveland, in the Eastern Conference? So there may be a scenario in order for Isaiah Thomas to actually get his money that he's going to probably have to end up playing for a third team in 3 years to do it. Because if you're the Cavaliers, you go to LeBron and say, we can bring CP3 here.
Ooh, that's really interesting, Jalen. That's really interesting. So you're saying that this actually opens up the possibility of LeBron staying and building the super team in Cleveland as opposed to bouncing like everybody else has him going.
Correct. I've been there. He's an all-time great player. He doesn't want to play for multiple teams, and he doesn't want to play for a squad that isn't a super team. For those that haven't been paying attention, I know the Golden State Warriors have 4 All-Stars. But the Cleveland Cavaliers are also a super team. He's not going to just leave for the sake of leaving. He wants to compete for championships each and every year. And so, yes, this trade gives them a better chance of keeping LeBron number 1. Number 2, it opens up the door. If something happens with Isaiah Thomas and you don't want to pay him long term, you could go out and try to sign CP3.
I love this, Jalen. I love this. You only get this on Jalen and Jacoby. So here's another little wrinkle here, which is why this is such a win-win trade from the Cavaliers side especially, is if LeBron does leave, you got to pick. You can already start the rebuilding process. I think that pick is, people are sleeping on. That could be a very, very high pick in what could be a really good draft.
Not only could it be a very high pick, it could be the number 1 overall pick. And this is not the Cleveland Cavaliers back in the day when they got Kyrie and they got Tristan, then all of a sudden they got the number 1 pick and they took Anthony Bennett. Or even they took Wiggins. This is the Cleveland Cavaliers that's been to 3 straight NBA Finals, won the championship, having an opportunity to have the number 1 pick. This is unheard of. The last time I remember a team being in this position was the early 80s Lakers, when they were able to get James Worthy after making it to the NBA Finals.
So now when you look at this team, let's just take a look at their roster really quick. If this trade goes through, which we both believe it will, you look at this roster, you've got Isaiah Thomas, J.R. Smith, LeBron James, Kevin Love, Tristan Thompson starting. But what you really do is you build your bench. Jay Crowder coming off the bench, Kyle Korver coming off the bench, Derrick Rose coming off the bench, and you think they might even add somebody else.
Oh, he's not. Dwayne Wade not on the team yet?
No, he's not on the team yet. He's not on the team
yet.
That
ain't at the bottom of the ticker?
No, not yet. But he is meeting with LeBron. He's meeting with LeBron. They're having dinner in Los Angeles this weekend. You think he'll come up?
That's going to happen. Dwayne Wade, by the time the playoffs come, worst case scenario, will be on the Cavs. Best case scenario, he'll be there ASAP. But again, as we noted, this trade, really good for both sides, in particular the Cleveland Cavaliers, because it solidifies the current climate of them trying to be a contending team. The future, as you mentioned, number 1, keeping LeBron. Number 2, keeping the door open for CP3. Number 3, a motivated Isaiah Thomas in the final year of his contract.
This should be fun. This should be a lot
And
of fun.
obviously, as you mentioned, the chance to get the number 1 overall pick from the Nets. So the Cleveland Cavaliers did a terrific job of parlaying an asset into something you usually aren't able to do when a player comes out and says they want to be traded.
So, Jalen Rose, as the NFL season is upon us, what really matters is fantasy football. Most importantly,
Just a fantasy.
Most importantly, the Jalen and Jacoby Fantasy Football League.
Yes, indeed.
Now, believe we received an email today. I don't think I got the email. Reggie was once the commissioner, but what happened last year when we got to the draft? What happened last year with the league?
Got my beverages, got my popcorn, been doing all of my studying, thinking I'm about to win the league, prepping more for the fantasy league than I've ever prepped for the show. And all of a sudden, I look down like, how many quarterbacks in the starting lineup?
2-quarterback league. All of a sudden, we didn't even know we were in a 2-quarterback league. Who plays in 2-quarterback leagues? I've never played in a 2-quarterback league in my life. And then Reggie's just like, oh, you guys didn't know it's a 2-quarterback league? Of course it's a 2-quarterback league. And of course, he drafts a bunch of quarterbacks. No one else does.
Right. He got Tom Brady and Aaron
got all the
Rodgers.
quarterbacks. And it's a 2-quarterback league. We're not playing in a 2-quarterback league again this year, but we are. Well, you got an email today. Is there a draft?
So this is what I want the fans to know about this fine program. There's not anything phony about what we do. We hold each other accountable. We say jokes sometimes that people take personal, but it's out of love. And the thing that I appreciated is since David Jacoby struggled at the beginning of last season, he's the guy in your fantasy league that just stops substituting and stops caring.
Yep, that's me.
So when they sent out the invite for this year's, Jacoby didn't get invited.
I think I got kicked out of my own fantasy league. I don't know how this happened. I don't know how we got here.
Your name was only on the show.
I don't know how we got
and
here.
your name was on the email.
I don't know how
but
we got here.
But you ain't a part of the game.
I do not know how we got here.
That's what you get.
Do I have to be like a co-manager? Can I split your team, Jalen? Will you give me the password so I can make some roster adjustments? You won't even do that.
Man.
You won't even do that.
That is so great. I love it.
How many fantasy leagues are you in, Jalen Rose?
I want to be in 2. I want to be in ours, our J&J league, and then I want to be in the Kick AZZ football fantasy league that I've been in the last couple of years. This features a couple of individuals that you know in the NBA and a few of the people that help make them tick off the court.
So, have you had your draft for that one? Because I know that you act like you prepare for ours. You really just prepare for the other one because you put so much money into that league. That's what it is.
That's why I was like, can we have our draft before September 5th?
What is it, practice?
Yep. Absolutely.
So you're going to use our league as a practice draft?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, that's not fair.
Everybody that's in the league with some money that's meaningful to them is doing a practice draft, Jacoby. This is why you didn't fare well last season, sir.
I don't mock draft. I don't do that. I don't practice draft.
See?
I don't do those kind of things.
See?
I show up and I pick players that I like to score. I want to pick people that I like that to root for.
This year, can you not quit 5 weeks in? Seriously?
If I'm 1-4, I'm quitting 5 weeks in.
Such a sore loser.
If I'm 4-1, you're
gonna talk about it. It's gonna lead every show.
I'm in. Exactly. We spoke about how this potential blockbuster trade would affect the Cleveland Cavaliers. We are going to talk about how it's going to affect the Celtics if it does go through. I think it will go through. But we're going to shift gears a little bit right now and talk about a team that has a very volatile and productive offseason, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Not only did they retain Russell Westbrook, but they got him another running mate. Who'd they get, Jalen Rose?
PG-13, a top 12 player in the game, a terrific scorer, can play off the dribble, shoot the three, slash and transition, a lockdown defender, 6'8", plays multiple positions on the perimeter. They may not be the best duo in the league, but when I'm spending my money for an NBA ticket, they might be my favorite.
Really?
Absolutely. Because the ferocity that Russell Westbrook plays consistently on a nightly basis, he just wears his emotions on his sleeve a lot more. Paul George plays with that same fury. And so to have both of those guys on the same court at the same time in the same uniform, I'm looking forward to watching that. It's going to be a beautiful thing to see.
Why did the Pacers just get back Victor Oladipo and Sabonis in this? I don't understand that.
I think they overvalued the fact that Victor Oladipo played in college at Indiana.
What?
I'm serious. A lot of times when you're making moves, you're not just only looking at the fact that you're trying to get a productive player, but you're trying to also sell a player to your fan base.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Teague was just a part of that team.
Yep.
He's also an Indianapolis native. And when you're a small market team, you have to take that into account business-wise. Also, they believe in his upside and his future. I was disappointed overall in how he played with the Thunder. I like the promise I saw from him in Orlando. I think he's going to get back to that. And in the Eastern Conference, I think he's really going to be a productive player. But when you see how the Cleveland Cavaliers were able to parlay Kyrie Irving into multiple assets, as we just discussed, you would think on paper they should have got a lot more.
Absolutely. What else? That's not all they did, though. They brought Nick Collison back, who's still in the league. Good for him. They signed Roberson to a 3-year deal. They signed Felton. They signed Patrick Patterson. They lost Taj Gibson. Do you think Patterson can replace Gibson?
I do. And here's how. When you have a guy that's averaged the first triple-double since the Big O on a team that struggled to shoot three-point shots, it really designates how of an amazing feat that was by Russell. But also, you need more shooting. And while Taj is going to give you post-up offense, toughness around the paint, he's not a range shooter. That's actually what Patrick Patterson is. He's a three-point shooter. And also, it's funny you mentioned Nick Collins. He got a Lifetime Achievement Award.
I love Nick Collison.
He got a Lifetime Achievement Award. And Robertson continued to improve shooting the three. He's a wonderful defender. He did a really good job on James Harden in the playoffs.
Yep.
But my whole thing with him, got to shoot free throws better.
Especially if you're at the guard position. But another shooter they had was Doug McDermott. No one's really talking about that, but I think he's going to get some run. And I think that he's going to do pretty well, especially if you look at this team, you're saying they need one thing, and that thing is shooting, and Dougie McBuckets can shoot.
But the only thing, I was watching Paul George do an interview when he went to go support Floyd at camp.
Mm-hmm.
And he was standing there with Day-Day, Draymond Green, and they were asking him about his offseason trade. And playing for the Lakers, is that something he still wants to do? And his answer was, I'm a member of the Thunder now. I don't know. We'll see at the end of the year.
Really?
He didn't say, I'm excited to run with Russell.
This is good. Yeah, we're going to make a real run at a championship. This is going to be great. I'm building something in Oklahoma City. He just said, I'm a member of the Thunder. Is there a part of him that's a little disrespected by only getting traded for Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis?
That's probably what it is.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. He's probably just like, for real? Come on now. Another thing about this team, which I find interesting, is the fact that they've made the playoffs 7 of the last 8 years. So they've had a very successful run, yet outside of that 1 year they went to the finals, they never really feel like they're truly going to make it. I mean, I suppose when they took the Warriors to 7, that was good. When they beat the Spurs, I'd say that's true. But this team, when you look at this team last year, you're not saying this is a championship caliber team. Maybe Russell can carry them deep into the playoffs. But when you look at it this year, you're like, maybe. Would you put them in a contending tier in the Western Conference?
I do, because you mentioned it. They made the playoffs last year with the flaws they had on their team and in their roster. Now you add Paul George, you would think that that's going to make you a lot better. And the Western Conference, Sam Presti, their general manager, has done a really good job of tinkering with their roster to put them in a position to consistently be successful. Normally when teams lose a James Harden and he goes on to become a max player, an MVP candidate, and then lose Kevin Durant as an MVP, a top flight player in the game, and then you develop Russell Westbrook into an MVP, that says a lot about their organization.
It does. And there's also this. Enes Kanter has now officially opted in, so he will be on the team. Do you expect him to stay on the team through the trade deadline?
I'm looking at Enes Kanter, and I'm looking at the New York Knicks, and I'm just saying, Melo, waive the no-trade clause.
Do you think that's on the board? Because you would have to take on so much more than just Cantor for Melo. You can't go to the Knicks fan base and say we no longer have Carmelo Anthony, but here's Cantor.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. This is where this program takes a unique U-turn.
Uh-oh. Where are we going now?
I think you may be either overvaluing Carmelo Anthony or undervaluing Enes Kanter in this.
Are you serious? You would do a straight swap with Cantor for Melo?
Not a straight swap.
Nah, but I mean, the salaries don't match.
Those could be the principles in the deal, though.
I'd be surprised.
Mark my words. And this is what I love to do, project talent. I remember screaming Boogie, and people thought he was going to be out of the league because his attitude. Now people call him the top big man in the game. Mm-hmm. I remember talking about Avery Bradley was going to improve as a three-point shooter. Now look, he's going to be playing for my Detroit Pistons. I'm trying to tell you something.
What are you trying to tell me?
If Enes Kanter gets to the Eastern Conference, he's going to be an all-star.
That's not so crazy.
He's going to be averaging between 17 and 20. And he's going to be getting like between 11 and 13 boards. Mark my words. 18 and 12.
Jalen, you don't think that Embiid and Whiteside would have all-star spots before Enes Kanter?
Is he listed as a center or a forward?
I believe he's listed as a center.
I think he's listed as a forward.
The depth chart has him as a center.
Okay. So, it's not very far off. You know why?
Because Embiid always gets hurt.
Hold on. I got to answer to your question. So, how many All-Star games have Whiteside and Embiid played in again?
That'd be 0.
Oh, got it.
How many have Kanter played in?
My point exactly. He's not a starter.
I thought I loved Enes Kanter until you started talking. He plays no defense, Jalen. He makes $18 million a year playing no defense. Like, doesn't even seem to be particularly interested in playing defense when he's on the floor. Yeah, you're sitting here.
So you want to act? So we're gonna act like there aren't elite offensive players looking at you, Isaiah and Kyrie, that don't play D.
God, I love this Isaiah and Kyrie trade. We continue to break down the fiasco that is the Kyrie Irving-Isaiah Thomas trade. We spoke about it from the Cavaliers' perspective, but what does this mean for the Celtics, Jalen?
Usually you don't have a team that gets a number one seed in the conference lose so unceremoniously like they did this year in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And had they not gotten lucky, per se, maybe they get bounced in the first round. So if you're Danny Ainge and you're Brad Stevens, you really look back at your team. To the point where that same squad that had that level of success basically will be playing with 4 new starters this season.
It's wild.
That's basically unheard of in today's NBA.
As a number one seed, what does it say their attitude towards Isaiah Thomas?
Isaiah Thomas, the last pick in the draft, the year he came out. Coincidentally, Kyrie Irving was the first pick in that same draft. At 5'9", he had to earn the respect of league officials, of fans, of his opponents, to the point where now he's a 30-point scorer. He has the opportunity and the talent to be a perennial all-star. But the Boston Celtics looked at him and they said, we know that your slides say that we should back up the Brinks truck.
That's what caused all of this, those sandals.
But they didn't want to give him a max deal.
They're not backing up any truck.
That's the first thing this said.
That's what it says. It says, we know Isaiah Thomas. He is our guy. He has been here. We got him on a great contract. We loved him at that value. However, we are not sure that we want to pay him max money. And when you show up with the slides on with the Brinks trucks, they're like, uh-oh, we got to get on the phone. We got to work something out. Maybe the Cavs will take him. Maybe someone else will take him. But they definitely felt like they had to work something out. That's one thing that this glaringly tells me, that their attitude towards Isaiah Thomas is not, this is a potential MVP level face of the franchise. He's going to carry us. Let's max him out. Let's keep him forever. Let's lock him down. It's maybe we can do better.
And also, he's older than Kyrie, and he's coming off a hip injury. And to put that in perspective, for those that watch the NBA closely, when you look at the numbers on paper, they get them a lot different. Isaiah Thomas is more herky-jerky, more shifty.
Yep.
Almost like a Porsche in a stick shift. The way he's able to stop, go, change speeds, and to get his buckets.
Mm-hmm.
Kyrie Irving is more like a luxury vehicle, like a Mercedes-Benz. It's no wasted effort, no wasted motion. Their numbers still speak for themselves. Kyrie's 25 and 5. Isaiah's close to 30. But how they get the numbers are a lot different as basketball players.
One thing that's certainly the same is neither of them really want to play defense. You know, that's one thing. They both can finish at the rim. They have very different offensive games. They put up numbers, but neither of them is exactly a defensive stopper. I'll tell you that much. So now that you look at this team, and as you mentioned, 4 new starters. If this trade goes through, they have 4 new starters. Talking Marcus Morris is there, Gordon Hayward is there, and now Isaiah Thomas. With a team that already has this much success, could this much change set them back?
I don't think so, because when you add Kyrie, now to go with Gordon Hayward, both of those guys were in the All-Star game this past year. There's going to be a familiarity with Gordon and his college coach, Brad Stevens. They solidified their backcourt of the future. In the league, when you look around, the elite level teams, other than the Cavs, have 2 backcourt players that put in work and can get you 20 to 25 points on a given night. The Splash Brothers in Golden State, Mama's Boys in Portland.
Look at the Rockets now.
The Rockets with CP3 and James Harden. Toronto with Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. So they now put themselves in that level of position, and it's going to be exciting for the fans.
It will be really exciting for the fans. If this actually happens, they're still looking at the hip. They're still sort of like negotiating, staring each other down. Do you think the Celtics will add another asset, like a second-round pick or something like that?
I think they'll add another asset. It's not going to be what we're hearing. It
not
won't
Tatum.
be Tatum.
Not be
It
Tatum.
won't be Jaylen Brown. If that's the case, then you put the toothpaste back in the tube and you figure it out another day.
Exactly.
But this gets done, but I don't think it gets done for that level of an asset.
So you think it'll be like a second-round pick? You think it'll be a future first-round pick?
I think it probably ends up being a second-round pick. And that's the other thing that this trade allows the Celtics to do. The third thing is it opens up the opportunity to develop their young players. They've acquired so many assets over the last couple of years. Now when you look at their roster, Marcus Smart, Rozier, Jaylen Brown, Tatum, it gives those guys an opportunity to play quality minutes and earn their keep.
Before this trade, if you're Isaiah Thomas, you're saying, look at these new pieces that we've added. We were the #1 seed last year. We had some injury problems in the playoffs. This is our run at the finals. I'm so excited to play out my contract year in the green in Boston. And then you get traded, and you're like, wait a second, wait, what? I guess they don't really look at me the way that I thought they looked at me. I guess they don't want to back up the Brinks truck for me. And then if this doesn't go through, if he has to go to training camp in Boston, what will that feel like and how will that affect him?
Awkward, but here's the thing. He's a professional. He's a productive player. And you don't take it personal. It's something that you have to acquire as a professional athlete. And we're talking about it in sports, but this is also a life skill you learn from playing sports. For Isaiah Thomas, he has to go out and realize that, wait a minute, I played for this basketball team. I dealt with a tragedy with my sister. I put everything on the line, and then they just moved me like that. And so that's where now you have to always pay attention to. The name of the team is on the front, but you must protect the name on the back of the jersey also. And I think he's going to garner that lesson from this situation, because if the scenarios go the way I just professed, either he's going to get a big deal with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and or he might be playing on his 3rd team in 3 years to actually get his money.
I love that you're already seeing this trade going through, seeing the Cavs play the whole season, and then seeing them lose Isaiah Thomas to get a max deal somewhere else and bringing in Chris Paul. I love this show. If you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us a voicemail. If you leave us a voicemail, we'll play on the show just like this.
Hey, Jalen and Jacoby. This is Will from Boston. Just want to say I've been a fan of yours since the Grantland days, and while I wish I'd seen you playing, Jalen, that I respect your skills on the mic. Just want to say, as someone that's waiting on the IT trade, how do you think a player rejected from a trade would feel going back to their team? Thank you very much. Guys, have a nice day.
We talk a lot on this program about terms that I would love to retire. Mm-hmm. And throughout this process, in particular with Isaiah Thomas and Kyrie Irving, you're going to hear a couple of things as people acknowledge the trade. Shipped. Got rid of. A negative overtone and connotation. Here's how it works. Do I get the same money?
Yes.
Am I going to a team that actually wants me now?
Yes.
Is this team going to give me an opportunity to put in as much work as I did before, if not more?
Probably.
Okay. What time is the flight?
Also, is this the team that beat us in the playoffs last year? You know, it's one thing when Kevin Durant joins the Warriors, but when you get traded to the team that beat you, it's not so bad, especially when you're playing with LeBron James. I think if you're Isaiah Thomas, you are rooting for this trade to go through. Don't you agree?
Both sides. Kyrie Irving as well.
Of course. And even fans like Will in Boston who are calling into the show. He wants to see it go through. I wouldn't mind seeing Kyrie Irving in the Celtics. Thanks so much for the call, Will. Let's listen to another voicemail.
What's good, Jalen and Jacoby? It's your boy Juice calling from VA. And I actually got a question for both of you guys. Since Power and Game of Thrones seems like they had both season finales last week, and I'm big fans of both shows, I want to know, is there any other shows that you guys watch that you would recommend to the people? I know Ballers is one show that I watch, and I also watch Insecure at the same time. So hope you guys answer my question. As always, keep giving the people what they want.
Power and Game of Thrones are coming to a close this year, Jalen. It's been very exciting.
Crazy.
It's been very exciting for both of us. But let's answer this question. What other shows out there do you watch?
Can you give me a Game of Thrones update? Like, what's happening in that show?
See, here's the thing. It's one thing that people that watch Game of Thrones, do you know what they do, Jalen Rose?
What's that? It's a secret society, I'm learning.
They're very sensitive to spoilers.
Yeah.
So I'm not even going to tell you what's happening because A, you don't care, and B, the people that are listening that may not have seen the latest episodes do not want me to do that.
That's weak.
Why?
You can't say what's happening in the show even though it took place a week ago?
No. I'll say one thing. There's dragons. One dragon died and came back as a zombie dragon.
I heard about that.
You heard about the zombie dragon? Are you lying?
I did.
Wait a second. Are you lying? Because you're on your phone right now, which you know I hate, and you're definitely lying. You're not listening to anything I'm saying, and you're just randomly answering questions. I know how you work, Jalen Rose.
No, I was actually trying to find a government name of somebody that's in power. That really disappointed me. I didn't want to even call them by.
Was it Ghost?
No, it's not Hardwick.
Thanks so much for the call. I would say that your two shows I also watch, Insecure and Ballers, are great shows.
I got a show for everybody.
Oh.
While looking for that government name.
Okay.
This Is Us. Got into it last year.
Really?
Yes.
Did you cry?
No.
You watched
I don't
This Is
cry
Us?
watching television programs and movies.
I cry. I'll cry twice every episode of Parenthood.
Really?
I cry easy. I cry really easy. I really do. I love This Is Us. I did not. Something tells me that you weren't the one who selected the This Is Us binge mode. Something tells me that wasn't your idea.
I didn't initially select it. My better half. We was turned on to it by a close friend, and before you know it, we were watching the program together. I actually like it. It's a really good program.
I want to watch This Is Us, too.
But could I say something about Power real quick?
No.
Okay.
Let's listen to another voicemail.
Jalen Rose, props to the Fab Five. Love the draft night suit. My question is, how will the Detroit Lions do this season? Thank you.
The Lions are going to be terrible this season, to answer your question. Jalen, just like every fan of their team, is going to tell you right around the end of August that this is the year that it's all going to turn around. But the Lions are bad. They just have no defense, Jalen. They have no defense. And Matt Stafford, he's great at fourth quarter comebacks. Do you know why he's great at fourth quarter comebacks? Because he's always losing in the fourth quarter. That's what's happening. They're going to take you guys out of the Thanksgiving game soon. They're going to take you guys out of the Thanksgiving game soon. Soon they're going to be like, why are they always in the Thanksgiving game? I don't really understand this tradition. Why the Lions? Why do we have to give the people the Lions at a national game when everyone's got off work?
That's our Super Bowl.
I know, but they might take it away from you. Like, where in the NFL contract does it say the Lions have to play on Thanksgiving?
The Lions and the Dallas Cowboys.
I want to watch the Cowboys. The Cowboys earned that spot. The Lions have not earned that spot.
No, we earned that spot too.
How? With what?
The one playoff game we've won in the last 50 years.
Exactly. Thanks so much for the call. The Lions are going to be terrible. Jalen's going to tell you the same in like 3 months. Let's listen to another voicemail.
Hey, Jalen and Jacoby. First, I want to get a shout-out to Reg. But this is Trey from Houston. I live in the Houston area. The area I live in wasn't really affected, but I just wanted to give a big shout-out, boss move, to all the organizations that have been helping. And if anything, if you guys can get us some help down here, that would be great. And a question I have for you, in a pickup game, who would you rather have? Do-rag LeBron or hoodie Melo?
I'll ask the last part first. I'm taking do-rag LeBron because he now be free. You know how many days he wake up and look in the mirror and he like, man, I'm a mogul. I'm going to be $1 billion athlete. I'm chiseled. I'm a champion. I'm a boss. I'm a worker. I'm in the gym. I got the tunes on, shirt off. But I can't change this hairline.
I know. But, I think the difference between your career and his career on the basketball court is a large difference. Also, your hairline and his hairline, though. You didn't have the career, you didn't have the championships and the MVPs, but you got the hairline. They can never take that away from you. They can never take that away from you, Jalen Rose, just like they can never take LeBron's championships away from him.
And also, LeBron with the do-rag on, I see him playing with ferocity, kind of like the dunk he did in the finals when he went baseline. And you can see the whole floor. Hoodie Melo, limited vision.
Yeah, limited vision. He doesn't pass,
Can't see left. Yeah, can't see right.
He doesn't need
Passing
peripheral
lanes
vision.
are non-existent. Definitely can't play defense and see help side.
You obviously don't need us to tell you that there's a tragedy going on in Houston. Big shout out to everyone who's helping and everyone down there. Stay strong.
Shout out.
Let's listen to another voicemail.
Yo, Jalen Jacoby, what up, man? It's Amir calling from Dallas, Agtown, Texas. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you know how when James Harden got traded to Houston, nobody expected for him to blow up and do all this? Can you see the same thing happening with D'Angelo going from the Lakers to the Knicks? Y'all let me know what y'all think.
No one's really talking about D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell's on the Nets. He's going to be featured. He's going to get the ball a lot. Could you see him kind of blowing up?
I don't see him becoming the kind of productive player that we see from James Harden because not many people are that productive. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was historically good. If it wasn't for Russell Westbrook averaging a triple-double, we would still be talking about James Harden's numbers because he was flirting with one consistently. And he's led the league in total points a couple of years. D'Angelo Russell, for those that haven't been paying attention, is already averaging close to 20. So now that he's playing with the Nets in the Eastern Conference, playing 50 games versus that level of opponent, I do think his scoring averages, his assist averages go up to the point where we're going to be looking at the Nets record because it's going to be bad. Mm-hmm. And looking at his stats, and people are going to wonder, should he still be in the All-Star game? That's the level of production I expect him to have this year.
I think there'll be big things from D'Angelo Russell this year. And I also think that they need to put a statue of Biggie outside of Barclays.
No question.
They need that. Jalen Rose, your Detroit Lions have made Matthew Stafford the highest paid player in the National Football League. $50 million signing bonus, $92 million in guaranteed money.
That's a lot of money.
Every year he's making more than every other player wearing an NFL uniform. Are you happy about this?
Actually, I am.
What?
Now, when you look at the list of quarterbacks in the NFL, he's probably not going to be in the top 10.
No, he's not.
However, though, as a Lions fan, I could make the argument that he's the second greatest quarterback. You ready for this? In the history of our franchise.
Jalen, but here's the thing. If you are going to pay somebody that much money, you want to make sure that they're good at their jobs. Let's just discuss some of the things that Matt Stafford has done while he's been what you call the second greatest quarterback in the history of your franchise. Because you know that he is, as a starter, is below 500. He's 51-58 as the starting quarterback. Are you still happy that they signed him?
You do know that there are 53 individuals in uniforms, 3 phases of the game: offense, defense, and special teams, and coaching and management that come into play in deciding who actually wins or loses games, right?
So all of those players and all of those people in the front office that decide, that have influence into winning these games, in the history of the sport, in the history of the league, no team has ever won the Super Bowl when they spend over 14% of their cap space on the quarterback position. Are you still sure that you're happy that they signed this guy?
How about this? We could also have that same conversation about the wide receiver position. When you see multiple guys getting deals like this, usually that team doesn't have Super Bowl level success either consistently. But I will say this. It's a salary cap driven sport. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you have the leverage to negotiate. And if he is the best and the brightest in uniform, you can't afford to allow him to hit the market and walk. So you got to pay up.
Jalen.
And he clearly wasn't like trying to give him no discount at all. He's like, no, I want all of the money. No, y'all not hearing me. I don't care who y'all trying to sign. I don't care about the other 52 guys. I need all of the money. And I ain't mad at it.
Jalen Rose, against winning teams, against teams with a winning record, Matthew Stafford is, 5-46. 5-46. And when he's on the road against a winning team, 1-25. Are you sure you're happy about this deal that Matt Stafford has got?
I watched all of the 51 games you just described.
Your math is
I
off.
even watched the 26 games you just gave an example for.
Okay, there you go. You got a number right.
And there's a reason why he's really good at allowing our team to come back in the fourth quarter. You just gave it. We're always behind.
Well, they're not the only team in your home state of Michigan making terrible decisions this week. Your Michigan Wolverine football team have a huge game coming up against Florida. It's in Dallas, national televised, big deal game, and they're wearing these hideous yellow uniforms. Don't call them maize. They're yellow uniforms, and they are ugly. You cannot co-sign these ugly uniforms.
I'm the same guy you just got on previously for wearing pants the exact same color at the golf outing.
You did wear yellow pants at the golf outing yesterday.
I can't criticize at all.
I don't even know who makes yellow pants. Why do they do this? Why? Here's the thing. The Lakers are the only team in almost all of sports I can think of on the top of my head that wear yellow and only yellow uniforms. Why does anyone think this is a good idea?
Loud. And also to make a statement. But more importantly, we're going to be banging some helmets this year. I know you guys see in the reports about we're not sure about who's going to start at quarterback. We're going to play Florida's game and do what we got to do.
Brand new defense.
But we'll be ready to go.
Completely brand new defense. You guys are very confident. I was in Detroit yesterday. A lot of confident Michigan fans right now. But you very well might lose to Florida very soon.
What you want to put on it?
Oh, I want you to wear those yellow pants on television if they lose. Your full yellow suit. The full yellow thing. Will you do it?
They don't need to lose for me to do it.
You know that Russell Wilson had a bet with Doug Baldwin that he wouldn't wear a do-rag to the McGregor-Mayweather fight. And he wore a do-rag. Doug Baldwin owes him $100. How comfortable did he look in a do-rag?
I was disappointed they still trying to get him to, validate his street cred.
Oh,
it almost was like an episode of The Fresh Prince going back to the hood.
Who looks more comfortable in a do-rag, Russell Wilson or David Jacoby?
David Jacoby.
I don't think so.
Russell Wilson going to go off this season.
Jalen Rose, we didn't have a show yesterday. We were in Detroit supporting the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy, the golf outing. But there was a big fight over the weekend that we must address. What did you think of the Conor McGregor-Floyd Mayweather fight?
I can't front for the people. 2 or 3 rounds into the fight, fell asleep.
I knew you would. I'm so glad you're telling the truth in the microphones. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people would just act like, they pretend like they saw it or something. But you didn't even watch the fight. You were asleep.
Here's what happened.
You went to sleep thinking that Conor McGregor might have won the fight, too, after 2-3 rounds.
Correct. I remember sitting there like, wait a minute, Conor won the first couple of rounds.
He did.
And before I know it, it's the next morning. Here's the deal. When you're used to going to bed at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, especially in the off season, you got to make a decision. Am I going to be able to take a nap first? And that was the plan, but the nap didn't happen.
I love old man Jalen.
And all of a sudden, what are you doing to stay up? You got the remote control in your hand. You got the adult beverages going. So instead of it starting at 8 or 9 and you right at your nice beverage count like an umpire does a pitcher, you're past your beverage count, past the time that you normally are awake. Mm-hmm. And before you know it, next morning I'm like, what happened?
Well, what happened is kind of what we expected to happen. I thought Conor came out and did look good, especially for the first 4 rounds. He got really tired. Boxing is tiring. Trying to punch people, getting punched in the head, it's just really, really tiring. And there was a stoppage, and at the time I did think, well, maybe that was an early stoppage. But then when you watch the replay, he got hit flush in the head 10 times in a row by rights from Floyd Mayweather. It was an interesting fight, and it was a super fun fight to watch. Like, we've all watched these hyped up big fights. Pacquiao Mayweather comes to mind, and they just don't live up to it. This lived up to it. It was fun to watch. It was a big event, and I loved it, but I loved nothing more than Russell Wilson wearing a do-rag.
A couple of things. That's a soft move, by the way. I didn't like that at all. A couple of things. It ended up being good for boxing and MMA. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the tea leaves, you could almost see this coming. Floyd Mayweather's average fights go 10.9 rounds. Mm-hmm. This ended in the 10th round. Usually for Conor, he's not used to going past 5.
Nope.
He's used to being a fast starter, which is why he took the early rounds, which all makes sense. Floyd's not known to be a KO artist, so because Conor was able to last for 10 rounds, now all of a sudden he gets a moral victory for the public,
he does,
which puts him in a position of more popularity when he goes back to his day job of MMA. And if you're the champ Floyd Mayweather at 50-0, you could ride off into the sunset. But here's one thing I've been waiting to say about that week. For those that don't know, Floyd Mayweather has a unique body clock. And he has the kind of body clock that when you're asleep between 12 and 8 a.m., he's awake.
Yep.
And he took Conor McGregor so serious, and I'm saying this sarcastically, that you know what he was basically out doing every night? At his strip club.
He was at his strip club.
At his strip club. Like, oh, it's 5 in the morning. Oh, when we fight again?
Yeah, it was interesting. I loved after the fight when Conor McGregor did an interview. He was like, oh, I always get wobbly at the end of the fights. He's like, oh, it's an early stoppage. They should have let me keep going. It was like, dude, you were getting beat up. Like, you were getting beat up. He acted like it was a strategy. Like, it was part of his strategy to, like, get wobbly and then calm down.
Oh, he was roping?
Yeah, he really acted like that. I was like, no, Conor, you were getting punched in the face by a professional boxer over and over and over again. It was super fun to watch. I liked the whole entire night. I had a great time watching that fight.
I need to have the champ send me the champ's cut.
This is the future, Jalen Rose. Driverless cars. They're working on a program where I believe Domino's will deliver you your pizza in a driverless car. Do you support this?
Here's a couple of things I don't support.
Okay.
1, driverless cars. I can drive my own vehicle.
Okay.
2, I'm for carry-out. I'm for delivery just like everyone else. Mm-hmm. But I don't want it brought to me by a driverless car.
But here's the thing, I don't want to have to leave my house to go to the car to pick up the pizza. Like,
that's exactly where I was going.
You got a driverless car, that's fine, all well and good, but how does the pizza get into my house?
Correct. That's the other point I was going to make. Not rolling.
Not rolling with it either. Well, after the big fight, Michael Phelps has challenged Conor McGregor to a race in the water. Do you think it'll happen?
I don't think it will happen.
I think it's funny.
He won't have a chance, just like he didn't have a chance against Floyd.
I think it's funny, though. He should start barnstorming. Start playing LeBron one-on-one, racing against Michael Phelps, just taking on legends and losing, but doing it with flash.
Keep getting them checks.
That's
the
what he
real
should do.
fight is on the 15th, Canelo and Triple G.
I'm so excited about that fight. Is there a chance you go to that one?
No, because David Jacoby sent a sternly worded email to the state of Michigan. The Friday prior to that fight, I'll be in the state of Michigan, being inducted into their Hall of Fame.
Jalen Rose, I had a wonderful day yesterday golfing. Shout out to my group. I had a great group to play with. We were in Detroit raising money for the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy.
Thank you for your support. I love you, brother.
There's an online auction right now where you can bid on experiences and sports memorabilia. If you go to jrla.gesture.com. How do you spell gesture, Jalen?
Gesture.
It took me a second.
I don't play for the money.
It took me a second. So go to jrla.gesture.com. One of the experiences that you can bid on is to join us in the studio right here in Los Angeles while we do a taping of Jalen and Jacoby.
We have some great items up for auction. Autographed items from Magic Johnson and Derek Jeter. Experiences to join us shooting this program, NBA Countdown, some vacations. Please go. And more importantly, to jrla.gesture.com. We're doing it for a great cause. Trying to educate young people and put them in position to be successful.
Now, you remember the year ago, all of the talk was about Kevin Durant going from the Thunder, who had just lost to the Warriors. Looked like they were going to beat the Warriors. And then going to the Warriors, joining the team that he couldn't beat, and winning a championship. Well, one of the storylines about that was Russell Westbrook calling him a cupcake. He tweeted out a picture of a cupcake. There was a cupcake Instagram post. It was just sort of like this little sneak diss thing that Russell Westbrook was doing about Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's got his own shoe, and they're coming out with a red velvet cupcake sneaker. You know I love competitiveness. Is this the most competitiveness? I can't say it. Competitive thing that he's done.
I like it, and KD's shoes have been dope recently.
They have.
I rock them.
They're good. I don't need high tops when I play basketball. I don't move that fast. I don't jump that high. I don't cut that hard. Like I don't need all the extra shoe. But I do love his shoes. But they're a little pricey for me. I'm not paying $150 for some basketball shoes.
I got you. We get on the email.
That'll never happen. Will you please send an email? I'd love a pair of these red velvet shoes. Do you know that red velvet cake is just chocolate cake with red dye? Did you know that?
I did.
Did you know that? I cannot believe that. When I found that out, I felt like I had been lied to my entire life.
You were lied to.
I was. Jalen Rose, the NFL season is upon us. In just days, there'll be football on Sunday. My kids and my wife will not be seeing my face one day out of the week because I will be watching football from sunup until sundown. However, we don't force football topics on this show.
Nope.
So we're going to do a special Keep It Moving with just all NFL topics. If it is worth talking about, we'll hit the brakes. If it is not, we'll keep it moving.
We be moving, you know we keep it moving.
Jalen Rose, are you ready?
Let's get it.
The Broncos are not ruling out signing Colin Kaepernick with Paxton Lynch out for a few games.
Hit the brakes. I'm going to make sure the next time I talk about this topic, I have a list of every quarterback that's getting a check in the NFL. Because ultimately, we all know the reason that he's not in the NFL is because of his political beliefs, not because solely of his performance. And that's disappointing because a lot of times, and when you're the person that initiates something, when you're the leader, when you're the torchbearer, you kick down the door for what you feel like is right. And other people get a chance to follow. You see multiple people protesting. You see multiple people doing different things in the NFL during the national anthem. But you know why they're not being ostracized? Number one, he was first.
Yep.
And what that means is they're sending a message to anybody else who wants to do it. This is why you've seen multiple players come out and say, I'm not trying to do no protest. I ain't trying to, I got family to feed. I got mouths to feed. And so based on that and the position that he plays, quarterback, see, it's not necessarily only about who's doing it and why. A lot of times it's the position that they play in their sport. And since that position is one of prestige, they're trying to continue to keep him out of the league. But because some of the quarterbacks are so bad, I still think he has a shot to play.
Oh, I think he is definitely going to play in the NFL. Injuries happen at the quarterback position all the time. Then you start looking at your backup, and then you start looking at your backup's backup, and you start saying, you know what? Winning football games is very important to this franchise. We're going to sign Colin Kaepernick. I think he will play in the league this year. The Browns are aggressively trying to trade Joe Hayden. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Keep it moving. Productive player.
Jerry Jones on Ezekiel Elliott's case. Quote, there's no evidence of domestic violence. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes. First off, you weren't there. So you can't definitively make that statement.
Nope.
It's irresponsible as an owner of a franchise. Please continue.
That's a good point. He told 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, quote, unfortunately, you get confused in this conversation. Every person that has any sense at all understands domestic violence and abhors it. On the other hand, I've had a lot of experience in this area. For 10 years before I bought the Cowboys, I was head of Battered Women of Arkansas. I raised more money and have been in more safe houses than a lot of people that talk about it, so it's a terrible problem. And they said, on the other hand, what we are today, what we are relative to addressing it in the league, it has all kinds of issues, and it should. It's a very complicated issue because you have no evidence here. That's all I want to say about it. He's saying that you have no evidence.
Well, there were a few dates approximately a year ago that acknowledged potentially some sort of domestic abuse took place. And again, I'm definitely going to be sensitive to the fact that people lie. And so there were some disparaging things I saw from the young lady as it related to some of the text messages about
completely unrelated to any potential domestic
his
violence.
Character. No question about it, and trying to do what she could to sully his name. But to your point and to my original point, that still does not determine whether he committed an act of domestic violence. The NFL clearly thinks he did, which is why he got a 6-game suspension. And if he did commit this act, people should stop complaining about the 6 games. He got off easy if what allegedly was said actually happened.
Well, he had a hearing today, and if it doesn't go his way, he'll likely appear. It could go all the way to federal court, just like Deflategate did, so we have not heard the last of this. Do you hear that Matt Stafford signed a huge contract to be the quarterback of the Lions? Can we keep it moving?
Yeah, keep it moving.
Eric Dickerson signed a one-day deal to retire with the Rams. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
I got love for Eric. No surprises. Keep it moving. He waited till Jeff Fisher left.
Bengals coach Marvin Lewis says Vontaze Burfict has changed, but still hits like a cement truck.
Keep it moving. Not surprised that they drafted Joe Mixon, and he's going to have a terrific season.
Well, he's also in the middle of a 5-game suspension. Kevin Durant said that nobody wants to play in Under Armour to the podfather, Bill Simmons. Did he forget that Steph Curry is the face of Under Armour, and that is his running mate, that is his teammate? Should he have said that?
And one of his right-hand men, who's also family to me, Chris Stone, is one of the main people at Under Armour. So I was actually surprised to see these quotes.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. Podcast.
You get comfy.
You get comfortable.
You get so comfy. You got the podfather there. Yeah, you're in his office. It just feels so intimate. You're just having a conversation. Who knows? He said a lot of things. I think that the podfather has a better relationship with Kevin Durant right now than he does Jalen and Jacoby. Like, we got to hang out with the Podfather. You know what I mean? We got to see the Podfather. You're always on the road. Kevin Durant has been hanging out with the Podfather more than we have recently. This needs to be fixed. This needs to be rectified. Jay Cutler is now the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. But he was going to be, I believe, a Fox Sports analyst. When he was asked about how prepared he was for that, he said he did absolutely zero preparation. Jalen Rose, you also do absolutely zero preparation for your media career.
So I can relate.
Did he go to the Jalen Rose School of Media?
He did. And this is, you don't do the show in the meeting. Mm-hmm. It's always best if you can freestyle and be versatile and yet be able to ride the wave of current events. That's what this job is all about. But the difference between me and him, I got experience.
Yeah, he had never done any, and nor had he even prepped. Do you think he was just waiting for a team to call him? Like, or else I'm going to have to do this.
Right. I don't have to prep when I'm doing 15 shows.
Yeah, exactly. Also, we have this, Jalen Rose. In the first round win at the U.S. Open, Alexander Zverev wore a retro tennis outfit that included very, very high tube socks. You, very famously with the Fab Five, brought the world the athletic black sock. Do you co-sign this new sock movement?
I'm not mad at it. I'm not. Keith Van Horn rocked the high socks.
He did. Keith Van Horn did rock the high socks. People don't give Keith Van Horn enough recognition for being a fashion trailblazer.
Well, Michael Cooper was a little bit older than Keith Van Horn. I think he was doing it a lot prior to him.
Sure.
Cooper Loop catching the lob with the Lake Show. I'm not mad at it. It's just hot.
Yeah, it is, especially
and
New York,
itchy.
Muggy and itchy. He said that Pharrell designed the uniform for him, and Pharrell was sitting in his box, so he felt like he kind of had to do it.
And also, too, as an athlete, whether you wear knee pads or elbow pads or braces or whatnot, when you wear your socks up high and you roll them down, it stinks.
Oh, good point. It's also look good, feel good, play good. You know what I mean? Like, if he felt like he looked good in them, but someone tells me that when Pharrell designed it for him, he didn't want to have the conversation with Pharrell about how ugly this whole outfit was. So he's just like, I'll just wear it for one match, and then when Pharrell stops coming to the matches and I lose, I'll stop wearing this ridiculous outfit.
Pharrell is really talented, continues to reinvent himself.
Jalen Rose, we have a very simple motto on this program. First things first, don't forget, tomorrow is Woman Crush Wednesday on Jalen and Jacoby. So, ladies, tweet us at Jalen and Jacoby.
Hey, ladies!
Call 985-80-JALEN. Call 985-80-JALEN, ladies. Leave us your voicemails. We'll be celebrating you tomorrow, as we do every week. First Twitter question is from Jeff. Jess has a simple question. Jalen, are state fairs cultural?
No.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Please expound.
They are not. When you have kids and you have a festive atmosphere with rides and games, they're multicultural.
Have you ever been to the Michigan State Fair?
Multiple times. Climbed over the fence, a lot of times when I was young to get in free.
Okay.
I used to always get crazy bears on the basketball game.
What are crazy bears? Oh, you would shoot but those rims are fake, though. I hate those games.
My jumper was still butter, though.
Still getting it? Oh,
yes, indeed.
Those games are so frustrating to me. I stopped. I had to quit those. I went cold turkey on those games. I don't see those. My son went to one of these things and came back with this big, huge, like, stuffed animal. It's like, what do you want me to do with this thing? You know? Like, now it's I got like a fourth kid all of a sudden. I do not need a gigantic stuffed animal. They should have better prizes. That's what it really is. They should have better prizes at those games.
Get the stuffed animal and give it to your wife.
She doesn't want it either. James wants to know, will Iman Shumpert get what he wants since he wants out of Cleveland? There's a report that Iman Shumpert has asked for a trade out of Cleveland.
Here's how that works. Did Kyrie get what he wanted?
Kinda, maybe.
He asked to be traded, right?
Yeah, they tried to trade him.
Okay, so definitely they're going to be able to trade Iman Shumpert.
Yeah, I think they're like, Iman, we're not going to get much back for you, so we're not going to spend too much time negotiating with too many different teams.
Let your agent work on it.
Yeah,
that's how that works.
Exactly. Let your agent work on it. And also, it's like he's like, wow, man, LeBron's leaving, Kyrie's leaving. This party's over. I want to request a trade too. Who's more excited about the potential trade? This is from the Cerebral Assassin.
Shout out.
LeBron, Kyrie, or Isaiah Thomas? Good question.
Isaiah Thomas.
Why is that, Mr. Rose?
Because of that group, he still has a lot to prove because he just led a team as a number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, and yet they traded him because they didn't want to pay him top dollar. Kyrie got a max deal, and LeBron obviously can write his own check.
Mm-hmm. I think Isaiah Thomas is extremely excited about this potential trade. I think he went to the physical like, uh-oh. I hope
wait a minute, I got to take a physical?
Wait a minute, physical? I thought this was just like a,
y'all know my hip. I missed some playoff games last year.
Yeah, so I just thought it was going to be like a height and weight thing, I didn't know you guys really were going to check on this hip. The hip feels fine. What do you mean? Daniel wants to know, what are the highlights of our vacations? We took a week off. We don't take a lot of time off. Jalen and Jacoby, you always get Jalen and Jacoby. We took a little time off. I had a week. My highlight was going to Palm Springs with my wife in the middle of the week, leaving the kids behind. They were taken care of. And just the two of us, like it was 2005 all over again. What was your highlights from your time off?
My highlights for my time off was actually doing something that I never do. Rest.
Really? Huh. What was that like?
I was not on any television or any radio programs to talk sports.
Mm-hmm.
And so to be able to refresh, it's a beautiful thing to be back on the radio today with my brother.
It feels good to be back. Sorry we didn't give you a dope pod to step to. We need a little R&R. This is a great question. This is a great question. I want you to take this very seriously, Jalen Rose.
Okay.
It's from H. Diesel.
Shout out.
What is Jalen's Chinese takeout order?
A couple of things. First off, being from Michigan, I love Chinese food.
What does that have to do with Michigan?
Because they have multiple Chinese food restaurants that I've been exposed to my entire life.
Okay. I'm just gonna...
I only can talk about where I'm from.
It's not unique to Michigan.
And you're talking
continue.
about carry out. That's where I lived.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Growing up, I used to like the egg foo young patties.
Oh, I'm not familiar. I've eaten a lot of Chinese egg foo young patties.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
What are those?
That's what I'm trying to tell you. They look like hamburger patties, but on the inside they have vegetables in them.
Oh.
Egg.
Okay.
Onion.
That sounds good.
It's cooked.
I like my food cooked. It's good. What else is on the order?
I like shrimp and chicken fried rice. Got to get both.
Oh, separate or shrimp and chicken in the same fried rice?
Get them both.
Interesting. Okay.
I also like the sweet and sour chicken.
Sweet and sour chicken's always solid. Always solid.
And one of my favorite places in Michigan actually has lobster. Get the Cantonese lobster cut up.
Really?
No question about it.
If there's lobster on the menu, you are getting it.
Light gravy all day.
These egg foo young patties look pretty good. I'm going with vegetable lo mein. That's my favorite. And I love the mustard. If they don't give me the mustard, I get so mad. You know the mustard? Do you eat the Chinese mustard?
I do.
I love vegetable lo mein, beef and broccoli. Those are my go-tos. Next, Uncle Mar
Shout out.
says Kevin Durant says he loves playing GM mode on 2K. Do you think he'll want to be a GM when he retires?
That's a long way off, possibly, but the landscape of his interest going to change possibly so much over the next 10 or 15 years, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's something in his future.
It just seems like a lot of work, you know? It just seems like being a GM seems like a real, like meetings and going to the office and dressing up, and it just seems like real work. I think you're better off going like the Jordan route and being an owner, you know, and just showing up at the games and just yelling at people all the time. That's what I'm doing if I'm Kevin Durant. Next from Elijah, Jalen, is Stafford worth that much money? How many wins do you think your Lions will end up with this season? How many wins will your Lions
only have this
end
conversation
up with this season
about people being worth their money in salary cap-driven sports, and rightfully so, when he's taking up a lion's share of the cap. You taught me 14%. Basically, what he was saying to the team is, I don't truly trust y'all to build a contender around me, so give me all the money. And then if y'all want me to ask for something back, I want to see who y'all trying to sign with it.
Yep.
So I don't think that signing now means that we're going to win the conference or win the Super Bowl. But behind Bobby Lane, he's arguably the best quarterback in the history of the franchise. And it costs top dollar to have a starting quarterback. Ask Kirk Cousins in Washington.
Jalen Rose, 1 in 25 in road games against winning teams. 1 in 25. There's 26 road games against winning teams, and they have won one of them with Stafford starting. Are you sure? You sure about this?
3 phases to the game.
Okay. Let's answer the question though. What do you think their record is at the end of the season? 16-0?
9-7.
9-7? I'd be shocked if they went 9-7. Remember when they almost made the playoffs last year? Do you remember that?
I do.
Had to win a game at the end there.
We're going to get Abdullah back. He's
Okay.
explosive. Can't wait to put him on my fantasy team. He got hurt last year.
Finally, a great question from Alberto. Who's better at golf? Do-rag Jalen or old man Jalen?
Old man Jalen. Do-rag Jalen don't have the patience.
Yeah. When are you going to get bitten by the golf bug? I got bitten by it this summer. I really enjoy the game of golf. I try to get you to come out to the golf course. You never do it. You don't even think
First,
about it.
I got to start playing your game with you to learn
Golden
the
Tee?
intricacies of the game.
I don't think that's going to make you a better golfer. If Golden Tee made you a better golfer, I'd be in the PGA Tour. All right, thanks so much for listening to this podcast. We love our podcast listeners. We apologize for not giving you a dope pod to step to. It is a busy week for both of us, busy week in the NBA, but we are back at full strength. Ladies, call 985-80-JALEN. Leave us a voicemail because tomorrow is Woman Crush Wednesday.